And we are live. I think we are live in all the places. The only thing I don't have is I still am on a laptop, so I can't do the threadcast recording, but we'll make do.
Yes, I mean I could do it, but you usually do it by reading and then like it synchronizes with what you're saying. So
yeah, it's all right. I I'll be able to record them starting from next week. So it's just last week and this week I wasn't able to do it, but next week I will be back in full swing. All right, I see Mitch just jumped in, so let's get him in here. Drop him the spaces as well. What's up, Mitch? We're officially live, so oh, I see you're already in the space. Right to speak. There we go.
wow, we already have like 30 people, well, 30 comments on the threadcast. Let's get
I'm
busy
actually
to
seeing
fill the
100,
sucker up.
seeing 103.
Oh, yeah, I was just lowballing it, like just saw enough to say 30. I mean, it was at least 30, so
Well, yeah, and
I also
sometimes
see.
when you are on the threadcast and you don't refresh, it doesn't actually refresh the total count. So that's fair.
I
Um,
just opened it, so I see 103 also.
nice.
yeah, we're doing well. Um, I've already seen like 12 when Leo AIs, so little Leo AI update while we get started here.
Always, always the next thing.
Yep.
It's always whatever's like next up. That's the thing that everyone keeps asking about.
Yeah.
I don't even, I haven't even thought about AI. I'm still like, when the things that are almost there or are here, but still are improving.
Yeah,
But yeah,
well,
AI is huge.
yeah, and that kind of is a lens of the approach, the overall approach, which is that we're always kind of working on something like big, like a big, lofty goal to achieve, and then there's a lot of like other sub goals on the way. Um, I think the biggest example of like a historical one for us was threads. Obviously, we were working on Project Blank for like 2 years. So there was always like that big goal that was there. But then, I mean, it's not like we didn't do anything for 2 years. We did a lot of things actually um, over that 2 year period of time that were all kind of sub goals that led us up to where we are now. So I think that's kind of a good approach for us in general is like you've got that big, kind of long-term attainable thing that you're really spending a lot of time and resources on, but then you have a lot of sub things that happen along the way. So yeah, Leo AI is kind of that big, lofty next milestone for us. I would say as a project, it's one of those things like threads where it completely radically changes the way that all of us use the ecosystem. So, that's kind of the scale that Leo AI is at. And then a lot of sub goals, like I know everyone's waiting for shorts and videos and whatnot. And that stuff is currently in testing. So as soon as we are comfortable with it, then we'll move it from testing to production. And I'll get into that later. But on Leo AI, I spent the last kind of week, deep in the trenches on the AI front, mainly on the machine learning and the vector space. So I've kind of got my part done, and now it's being passed on to some back end stuff, and then the building out the front end. But the machine learning part is actually pretty much done now. So it's pretty exciting because I think I'm still pushing to have it done by the end of July. That's going to be the target for us. Um, so yeah, I know that I've told you guys that it's going to be the chatting interface. So we'll have the AI chat, and then you'll also have some of those AI kind of supercharged features that I've talked about in the past. And I am going to do the model that I think Task and a few others mentioned, which is to basically make it available for free for the first maybe 30, 60 days, something like that. Anyone will be able to use Leo AI. And then after that, it's going to be premium only. So if you have a premium account, then you'll be able to use AI. So it's something similar to what Tesla did with full self-driving. We'll kind of follow the same model. But yeah, I would say probably by the end of this month, we'll have it rolled out in some form. I'm not going to say the whole thing will be ready and usable, but some level of AI features will be there. So that is the soon to your wens.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned that this to me, but you spent probably like the whole week last week. You spent like 16-hour days getting things ready for LeoAI, and right now the devs are ready to keep going with it, and you can focus on something else, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's I kind of had to shift. I mean, again, I was trying to hit that target to have it ready by the end of this month, so I kind of had to shift all of my resources from a personal standpoint to working on that, to kind of get the vector space part of things and the machine learning part of things actually ready. And then from there, it'll be in their hands to get us the UI and the back end and all the things we need to get to the rollout. But yeah, I think it was well worth the past week of efforts.
I'm getting some ideas from people in the threadcast. You know what? It would be pretty interesting for the community to share with us. What would you like to see the AI do? And then maybe we can get some ideas for that, or maybe some inspiration so that for the next iterations of the AI. Why don't you leave a comment in the threadcast telling us what would be your ideal feature for the AI?
Yeah, I would love to hear some feedback, and definitely some feedback before we even launch it, but also like when it gets launched, I'm sure you guys will have a lot of feedback on tweaks that we can do and ways to improve it overall. There's going to be, I mean, what we've really built here and what I've spent the last week on is that we've built a vector space that machine learns on the Hive blockchain, right? So it's all the data that's on Hive in this space, and LeoAI is trained on it, and it's also trained on kind of basically the same framework as like a ChatGPT. So you've got like generalized knowledge, but then you also have like a specialized knowledge for specific to the Hive blockchain. So anything from threads to blog posts to comments on chain to upvotes, all of it. And then you've also got all the interconnections between those things. So like, how many times does, Eric comment on Mitch's posts? So you've got like a lot of crossover as well. So really the key here is that we're training this AI, it's already trained on the generalized stuff, but then we're training it on the specialized stuff. So the possibilities of what we can build in terms of features and use cases is really endless. It's just kind of our imagination that's going to limit us. So, if you dream up any good ideas, definitely drop them, tag them, #feedback. Yeah, just drop them whenever, because I'll be keeping an eye out for them. Ben Hass said, will there be an API? Yeah, at first there won't be. There's always an API technically, but at first the API will be only usable by us. So, the Inleo.io UI will be the only one that can tap into the AI. And the reason, like one of the reasons for that is that using the AI, prompting it costs credits. So I've mentioned this before, but technically every time you prompt anything from like ChatGPT to Google's AI to anything, there's a cost behind the scenes. And the way that these data centers pass on those costs is through credits. So when you're prompting an AI, each prompt you do has a fractional pennies on the dollar cost to doing that prompt. So we can't just open the API to anybody and say, here, you guys can use it as much as you want, because then, obviously we would eat those costs. So the workaround or the implementation of that locally on Inleo is to make it premium only, which basically bakes it in. We basically say that on average, every premium member is paying $10 per month, 10 HBD per month. And, by doing that, we're able to cover our costs of LeoAI. So that's kind of how we do it locally. And I'm thinking up kind of a similar model for allowing other projects, especially on the Hive blockchain, who would be interested in having an AI that's trained on Hive, to use the API and use it for whatever they want to build. So like, for example, like Peak D, if they want to get some AI features, they could tap in to that API. But like I said, we would need some financial model behind that. Otherwise, it would just be unsustainable for us. We would be eating a lot of cost, depending on the usage that each platform has. So I've been thinking of a few different models for this. I would say at the top of my list are two models in particular. One is a credit system, which is essentially what, OpenAI and other platforms are doing, which is essentially, like there's enterprise credits. So they would just buy like, 1 million credits at a time, for example. And then they would pay us an HBD or something. So it would create another payment rail and use case for HBD, and allow them to just buy credits. The other option, and also, by the way, maybe both of these at the same time is a good option as well. But the other option would be to basically have like organization premium accounts, which is something that X has. So, X, I think they charge like $1,000 a month to be a premium organization. And if you're a premium org, you get, access to certain features that you can't get just from normal premium. So I'm kind of thinking between those two models, we could probably find a way to make it work. And like I said, maybe both models would be a good way to do it. And I don't think we would make the organization accounts $1,000 a month, but we would have to make it something that is economically feasible for us. And we can also have a ceiling on credits. So, at first, I don't think we're going to have a ceiling on credits. And that's speaking both on the, person to person level, like, you guys as premium users. And then also if we end up doing these organizational premium accounts, I don't think we're going to have any limit on credits to start. But if we do start to see like, there's certain people that are just going way above and beyond, spending $100 a month in credits, in our credits that we have to pay for, then I think we will have to create some kind of ceiling on prompts, where like you can't go above a certain amount. And that's just, again, we have to make it economically feasible for us and also prevent abuse in certain cases. So yeah, that's also possible to have some sort of, and I think it would be kind of graded on a curve. So it would be a ceiling on credits like across the whole board, across all users and organizations. So we'll figure that out. But either way, if you look at the average user of like ChatGPT, for example, they're not using very many credits. It's actually pretty low. So that's why I don't even think we'll need a ceiling. I think it's going to be probably fine. But it's, again, something that you have to see in the live environment to know for sure. But yeah, and again, even if we did have a ceiling, it would be so ridiculously high. It would be like you could literally prompt the AI, every hour of every day with multiple questions, and you still wouldn't hit the ceiling. So this ceiling would be particularly for people that are just like hammering the AI, kind of on purpose. Like, I mean, I couldn't even really see a reason that you would be using that much AI resource.
There's a question from Big Fan. If one automatically subscribes to Premium, does that give one the chance to use Premium within the extended period of subscription? No, yeah. So if you subscribe to Premium, you get LeoAI within the same period of time, and that's only after the potential free trial period of 60 days. So there's no like you don't have to subscribe 2 times. You just need to subscribe to Premium, and you get all of the benefits from the membership by doing so.
Yeah, and I see a question from Godfish. He said Peak T has its own AI. Everyone can use it. It's simple, but it's working. And yeah, I have seen it, and it is really cool. Jarvie showed me he showed me kind of like the prototype before it was released to production. When I saw him in Vegas, when Mitch and I went for that one, I'm forgetting the name, started with a B, I think. Breathe. The Breathe
great.
conference.
Yep.
So yeah, when Mitch and I were there, Jarvie showed me a kind of prototype of what they were doing. So it's really cool. Like what they've done is actually really cool too. But we're building something completely different. So what we've built is a localized AI that's trained on Hive data. What they've built is basically a plugin for ChatGPT. So if you use AI on PeakD, what you're actually doing is it's just giving prompts to a generalized AI, which is still really cool and useful. I've used it a couple times and I think it's really cool. But what we're building is something where you can say like, analyze all the blog posts I've ever made on Hive and tell me which blog posts tend to earn the most rewards or which blog posts tend to get the most comments. Find me 5 bullet points where you can kind of create like a Venn diagram of which blog posts I should create in the future that would perform the best based on my history. So that is the power of, and that's obviously one use case, but that is the power of a localized AI, where it's trained on all your Hive data, anywhere from comments, blog posts, threads, upvotes, really everything. Images you've uploaded. Like, I mean, you could literally say, because it can read the URLs of the images you've uploaded in the past, regardless of what UI it was posted on. And it can read all the image. You could say, analyze all the images I've ever posted and then create me a new image for my next blog post based on those. So it'll take like your style of images and then create a new one. So that's the power of a localized AI, which is very different than like a AI plugin. I would say it's kind of like, what would be a good example? It's kind of like a browser extension versus like an app built from scratch. So it is very different, but that's not to downplay what they've done. I do think it's cool what they've done, and they obviously delivered it almost a year ago, I think, at this point. So
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And just like we have said in the past, it's pretty good to see a lot of innovation coming from different Hive projects, because in the end, if one of them explodes and gets adoption as hell, like it's good for the ecosystem. So yeah, it's pretty cool to see PeakD having their own AI, and probably I wouldn't be surprised if we see different iterations of AI with other front ends. I mean, hopefully we will. So
yeah, well, and I think there's going to be, and I know that a lot of people like to pit UIs and projects on Hive against each other, which I do think is kind of ridiculous, but people just love, like people love like drama. That's, drama sells. But they're it's like Eric said, like the rising tide raises all ships. Like there's no, the real competition is out there. It's external. So all of us building on Hive are really building in a way that is beneficial to each other. So if Leo's, and we'll get to Mouse and marketing later, but if Leo's heavily focused on growth and onboarding new people to Inleo, each of those people has like once they're onboarded, they now have a Hive account where they now can discover the rest of the ecosystem. So we're just trying to be a portal for them to start getting involved on the blockchain, start doing easy things that they're already familiar with, because our UI is obviously very similar to X. So they look at it and they know exactly what they need to do as soon as they sign up. That's kind of been our whole goal for the last, several years now, is to get to where we are now in terms of ease of use. And each onboarded MAU that we have is it's a monthly active user for the entire Hive blockchain immediately. And then it's also a potential user for all the other Hive apps that are out there. So I do find that people try to pit UIs against each other, and it's kind of a ridiculous thing. And like I said, me and Jarvie were chopping it up in Vegas, and there's people love to say that there's like bad blood between Inleo and other projects, but there never has been. I forgot where I was going with that in terms of, oh yeah, in terms of what Eric said with the different iterations of AI, I think what's going to be interesting is, it's getting easier and easier to implement AI I'm starting to see a lot more tooling get built, and the space is rapidly evolving. So I do think it's likely to happen that other UIs on Hive are going to implement their own AI, and not just a plugin, but like their actual like a trained AI for specific data, with their own custom vector space. I do think that that's going to happen in the future, but I also think it's going to be interesting to see. I think Leo is going to be first to market in terms of like a localized, specialized AI. And then I'm trying to figure out a financial model that makes sense to open up that API to all the UIs. And, once they have that API, they can run with it in any direction they want. So if you really think about it, like there's a lot of apps out there now that use ChatGPT on the back end, but they've built like a totally custom, thing with it. So like I've seen projects where like it's a website builder but it's powered by ChatGPT on the back end. So they're basically using OpenAI's APIs, but they've built on top of that, they've built a website builder. So their UI and their back end is specifically a website builder, but it's tapping into that OpenAI API. So you can imagine that there's limitless things that other Hive UIs could potentially do once they tap into our API, which is basically going to be a ChatGPT bot that is trained on all the Hive data. So, let's say that like someone's got a game, like Simple Games in the audience, and let's say that he wants to tap into LeoAI and use it inside the game, for various features of anything he could really dream up. That's going to be a completely different use case than what LeoAI is doing on Inleo. So, the possibilities of it are truly endless. Once it's out in the world, and that's why the AI segment, it's kind of like the internet revolution or the mobile revolution. The AI revolution is, it's evolving so exponentially quickly because of, it being AI itself is like the evolution of it is just so fast. The iterations are so fast. So I think people are going to really take what we've built and start running with it. Whether it's suggesting things to us to do on Inleo or, us opening the APIs for other Hive projects and saying, here, we've built this. Obviously, we need to make the financial model make sense so that we don't go broke on AI credits. But, then you can just take it and do whatever you please with it. So I'm excited to see kind of how that evolves as well. Sammy Hive said onboarding new users to Leo Infra is very simple and easy. What's happened to that project? Yeah, Leo Infra is it's kind of in the name, it's infrastructure. So it's one of the key pieces of infrastructure on Inleo. It actually does more than just onboarding, but onboarding is one of the key features of it. And we built Hive Lite accounts, years ago now, but we've continually refined that experience and made it better, and the architecture. So yeah, Leo Infra still powers, like if you go to create an account on Inleo, and you can use, the X or the Google option to create an account, that will create you a Hive Lite account. So, just a quick elevator pitch, refresher on what that is. You create like sign up with X. It connects your X username to the Inleo site. It creates a Hive account for you on the back end. So that's like a full Hive account. It encrypts the, posting active master keys for that Hive account that was created for you. And then it links it to your X account's authentication. So we basically use an authenticator that connects your X account to this Hive account we created for you via encryption. So now you can sign into Inleo using X. So like you click sign in with X and it opens a little X window to confirm. And then you sign in with X, but then it links you into that Hive account. And then you can create threads and blog posts and comments and upvotes, everything that a normal Hiver can do. But you're doing it all from your X account because you're doing it with the authentication of your X account. So like our UI is essentially holding those keys for you. It's actually fully encrypted, but essentially the account that was created for you is like this encrypted account that can only be decrypted by your X account. So like when you go to make a thread, basically the Hive blockchain is asking you to authenticate that you have the permission to make that thread. So you need like posting key authority to make that thread. So in order to decrypt your posting key to grant that authority, basically Leo Infra is speaking to the X network and saying, is this X user logged in and authenticating, this specific transaction? And if the answer is yes, then you're able to, post that thread. So yeah, long story short, Leo Infra still powers all of that, and it's gotten a lot better over time.
Nice. And I can already see Turner Will. He was asking, can LeoAI write a 500-word text? And I can already see you trying to use the AI to write a post, but no, the AI is going to be catered to not make people, well, to not allow people to just write blog posts with it. I mean, it will help you to get an idea across, or to polish your style or check your grammar or stuff like that. But I mean, it will definitely not let you just write a post in and of itself. So
yeah, and we're
I
gonna
don't
have
know.
to find interesting ways to limit that. I think from a UI perspective, there's a lot that can be done. Obviously from a backend perspective and with the APIs, if it's really kind of up to the UI to limit that. What we're also going to be doing is, and I've mentioned this before, when something is written by LeoAI, it will be almost like highlighted, or it'll have kind of like an asterisk that says this was written by LeoAI, like or this was AI generated. And I think that that's not just something that we're going to be doing, but that's something that's going to happen across the entire AI space, because you're seeing a lot of that. Like, people don't know, AI is almost getting so good now that you can't tell what's reality and what isn't, whether it's a picture, a video, or text. And I only see that getting worse. So I do think that AI engines are going to start coming out with something, and especially UIs are going to come out with something that kind of tells you when something is AI generated. So off the bat, we're gonna have that. So like, if you create a thread and you use LeoAI to prompt, and create that entire thread text, you can post that, and there's no real problem with it, in my opinion. But I do think that there should be an asterisk that is very clear, that shows that this was AI generated. So, if someone comes in to curate you, they can decide for themselves if it's, okay with them to curate something that was AI generated, but posted by you. And that is kind of like a whole morals and ethics conduct that is going to be kind of evolving, as time goes on. And again, to relay the AI revolution with like the, internet revolution or the mobile revolution, when these things come out, there's all new moral frameworks and codes of conduct that need to come out with them. So those are kind of things that evolve with time, and with usage. So people are going to make mistakes, people are going to do different things, and then you're going to say, okay, well, we need a rule for this, we need a way to handle this. But that being said, that's no reason to stifle innovation, which is, you don't want to overly regulate. And there's a whole broader AI discussion happening right now about regulation, in general. But, you don't want to overly regulate something that's brand new, because you still need to see those use cases evolve. You need to see people innovate, and, overly regulating things from the jump is a good way to stifle that innovation. So I'm definitely you guys are very familiar with this. I'm definitely a break first, ask forgiveness later type person. So, we'll launch this into the world and then evolve from there.
Speaking of the AI, I think there's still some confusion in regards to how you get it and when it's provided. So it's going to be part of premium, and it's going to be free to premium users at first, or what's the game plan? Because I keep seeing a bunch of questions in regards to that.
Yeah, it's going to be free to use for probably like 30 to 60 days. It'll be like a free trial period, and then from
For
there,
who? Just premium users or for
no, it'll be a
everybody?
free trial period for everybody.
Gotcha.
Anyone who's got a Hive account. So you will have to actually have a Hive account. Obviously, you'll have to log in to the UI. So, I guess that's kind of a feature of being a Hiver. So it'll be free for any Hiver to use for 30 to 60 days. We'll still work out the details of that later. And then eventually we will flip it to premium only. And like I said, mainly because of the credit system behind it. But obviously, it's also a really good use case for us to grow the premium user base. So
Absolutely.
yeah, it's going to be a really killer feature in a lot of ways. I mean, I think the access to AI is well more worth than 10 HBD. Like the value you'll get is way more than 10 HBD. So just that single feature alone, not even counting all the other features that you get on the UI, whether it's a check mark or, longer threads or bookmarks, bookmark folders or lists or whatever else we, create in the future. I think LeoAI is going to be very, at the very top of the list in terms of value. And it creates a lot of value for a lot of different types of users. So like I said, there's going to be a lot of different use cases that are created out of LeoAI. And I've given a few examples, but like helping you write a blog post by, fixing your grammar, or helping you create an image, for the thumbnail of your blog post, or helping you do better SEO on your blog post. Analyzing your previous blog post, giving you ideas for your next blog post, or prompting you to change the text of your threads, or create an image that goes with your thread, or turn your blog post. This has been one of the biggest features on the list, that's always been coming soon, is to turn one of your blog posts into a thread storm. So that's another feature. So there's just so many features that we can build out of LeoAI. It's really just about creating this vector space, which, obviously, like I said, just spent a lot of time on. And then from there, building the UI and the back end around it, and then adding more features over time will literally just be a matter of connecting the API and then building a front end around that API. So it's going to get really easy for us to add new features once this is all live.
And Kyle, I have a question. So if I'm a regular user of ChatGPT, will getting LeoAI can I replace GPT with LeoAI, or are the AIs completely different so that there's no substitution or like changing what I do?
Yeah, that's a good question. I actually think that for a large percentage of users, you would be able to, let's say you have an OpenAI, hopefully they're not watching this. Let's say you have a subscription to ChatGPT. It's like $20 a month, I think. I have one. For the average user of ChatGPT, I think that LeoAI would replace your need for it, because you're probably just using it for regular prompts, like your average prompt. There are, however, certain power users that use, there's a whole app economy that's being built right now around ChatGPT. So if you're using those various apps, then I think it's a little bit different, because you obviously won't get those apps with LeoAI. You'll get the app. So like basically ChatGPT and the OpenAI ecosystem has their own app ecosystem being built. And what we're trying to do is build kind of our own app ecosystem out of LeoAI. And we're doing it by building all those features rather than building apps. We're building features on our app, for the AI. So, whether it's something like, what I just described with turning a blog post into a thread storm, or, helping you get the next idea for a blog post, or helping you, write a thread or whatever. We'll be creating all these different kind of apps, as features on top of Inleo.io, using LeoAI. So we're kind of building our own little ecosystem out of scratch. But to answer your question specifically, like if you're like an average user of ChatGPT, I would say you probably could just use LeoAI. But if you're like a power user who's constantly trying the new apps, trying the new agents, and all the different features that OpenAI specifically has, then you're probably going to want to have both, or one or the other. So that's just that's just kind of how that's going to go. Is it's going to become much more of like an ecosystem type thing.
Yeah, but I mean, it's very interesting to think about it, because, for example, I don't use ChatGPT a lot, but for what I use it for, I could easily just use Grok, or in this case, LeoAI, and it wouldn't make a difference. So if we can actually tap into that kind of users, and just I mean, if ChatGPT costs $20 and LeoAI for normal people costs $10, and you also get XYZ features on a platform, then I mean, it's a no-brainer. But again, it's just a matter of reaching all of these potential customers. So
Yep. And
yeah, I mean,
ChatGPT, the numbers aren't public, but I think there's been like some kind of like leaks and people that have discovered information about it. That I think they're making like, I think the number I heard was like 2.5 billion a month, is what they're making from the $20 premium for ChatGPT. So that's just the average user. They're making $2.5 billion a month from that, which, and again, that's like an unconfirmed, like leaked number. But I'm pretty sure it's probably somewhere in that ballpark. So just think about how crazy that is in terms of revenue. And again, like we're trying to build this entire subscription model out of premium to turn the Leo ecosystem, into a kind of a massive behemoth that generates revenue for the Leo token. So, that's the entire idea behind premium. So adding this AI, feature, which really is not just a feature, we're adding like a LeoAI, ecosystem of features that are all going to be for premium users. The value that we're creating for being premium is extraordinary. So, I definitely am sourcing some inspiration from OpenAI in terms of how they've built this subscription model around ChatGPT and how much revenue they're generating, by providing all these AI features. So yeah, I'm really excited to see how we can turn this into, a massive user base of premium subscribers. And again, it's just one thing. It's like, LeoAI is not like the only feature that we'll ever add to premium. We're going to keep adding other features as well. So it's just going to be extraordinary to see how many different features we can add into premium. And again, Simple Games in the audience, but he's offering, I think, like a 50% discount or something on his game to premium users specifically, Leo premium users. So, again, like you just see like this value, these layers of value getting added to being premium. And then you've also got the Leo.voter curation, on premium users who create content on Inleo. So it's just like the value, the layer of values, I can't even speak today. The value layers are being expanded and built. So we'll just keep kind of expanding and building more. And yeah, I'm very excited to see how this unfolds.
yeah, and Fish is saying Copilot is actually more cool than ChatGPT. I will use Leo AI if it works like Copilot. I mean, I haven't tried Copilot, but I mean, Copilot, as far as I understand it, is for high level coding, right? Programming. So
Well, Copilot, yeah, I mean, I think it's heavily for coding, but there are other features. So there's like, Copilot within your Word documents, or like Excel spreadsheets. So I would say that Copilot, like as a generalized term, would be like an assistant, rather than just a prompt engine. So like a prompt, actually, if you think about like when people think about AI right now, it's primarily like prompting. So people are thinking about the chatting, right? But that's just one use case. I mean, there's literally so many use cases. Like I just mentioned, like there's website builders out there. There's, app builders that are out there. There's, all the like Mid-Journey, like the image creators out there. There's I just actually used one recently that was a meme, an AI meme generator, and it works really well. So, there's all these different things that are coming out that aren't just, text prompting. So yeah, it's, what we're aiming to build with it is, like I said, one of the apps is going to be, the prompt engine that what everyone thinks of right now as AI, which is, texting with it. But one of the major use cases, in my opinion, is going to be the ability to, use it inside as a co-pilot, as you're writing a blog post or as you're writing a thread. Again, like a easy use case to think about is like, as you're writing a blog post, it could be suggesting various thumbnail. It could be generating and suggesting various thumbnail images for that blog post based on what you're writing. So it's like, just think about it as like there's these different apps for LeoAI, and one of them is to be like an assistant. Another one is to be like a prompter, like a texting prompter. So there's a lot of things you could do it. I've also talked about like for threadcasts, I have a bunch of ideas. Right now, and while we're talking, I'm kind of pulling out certain questions, in a new tab. But imagine if there was an AI copilot inside of your threadcast, and you could say, read the threadcast, and when you see something that looks like a question, you know, essentially like bookmark it for me. And then you'll be able to like get like a separated chat window of specifically questions. And it doesn't have to just be people who say question. It like the AI is smart, right? Like it's not just like it's not just like a dumb, like if this, then that type thing. It's actually like reading the threads in the threadcast and saying, well, this sounds like a question and this doesn't. And then it's sorting them. So there's going to be a lot of, like I said, and really endless use cases. It's all just about our imagination, once we get LeoAI out in the world. Big Fan said LeoAI automatically creating a thread storm for a long form post is really a cool feature. Yeah, it is really cool. I've kind of played around with it a little bit already, and it's pretty fun to just take like a blog post and then turn it into like a 5-thread storm that kind of summarizes your blog post, and then you can make it the goal of the thread storm is actually to get people to read your blog post. So it'll like give them some of the details, and then it'll leave out like a juicy part, and it'll say go to the blog post for more. So I think that's a really cool feature.
Yeah, I know I'm definitely going to use it because I'm more of a long form content creator than a threadcast creator. So using the AI just to be a more complete or a more integral creator is actually going to be useful. Freda says, with the Leo AI, everything can be done right from the interface. Oh yeah. Yeah. I still think the bugs should be completely eradicated before the AI goes live. How's the bug hunter going, Hal, by the way?
Yeah, it's going well. We are, I mean, I don't know if you guys have noticed just from your experience on the UI, but it's been really smooth lately. It's been really smooth lately as I use it. And I obviously read that hashtag feedback tag all the time, and I've noticed that the feedback has really slowed down. So, that's not to say that we have zero bugs. And I always said that, our goal was to get 99% bug free, because you're never 100%. Like even when you go on X or Facebook or Instagram, platforms that have been around for literally over a decade and have billions of dollars of capital, and thousands of devs, you still will run into the occasional bug. And then you have to like close the app and then reopen it. And you know what I mean? Like there's always going to be some level of bugs. The goal is just to minimize them as much as possible. So yeah, we're currently at, I think, about 14 known bugs. And my KPI with the bug dev, because we now have, a specific person that literally just focuses on bugs, is to always keep that under 10. So it's kind of like this game where like he'll get it under 8, and then I'll go out and I'll talk to you guys, I'll get the feedback, collect it all, and then we go back up to 18, and then he's got to drop it down below 10 again. And it's kind of like this back and forth like ping pong game of me collecting the bugs, giving them to him, and then him smacking them down and getting them back under that sustainable number, which I've kind of arbitrarily set at 10. But you'll notice like when the UI is under 10 bugs, like it feels very much like near flawless. So I would say that's kind of where we're at right now. There are a few known things, and there's a few like really edge case things that I'm still trying to figure out. There's something happening with iOS devices, with Safari, and there's something happening with Android devices, with the texting, the thread box, where it's like adding random letters and words. So we're still trying to figure some of those edge cases out, but that's really like the major, I would say like all the major bugs are currently fixed. It's just a lot of edge cases now that are left. So, and as we add new features, there's going to be new bugs. There's going to be things that happen. So it's kind of like this constant game of ping pong, like I said.
Whack-a-mole.
Whack-a-mole. Yeah, it's very much like whack-a-mole.
I mean, there's new bugs always going to pop up. Circling back on a couple of things, Eric, I completely agree about the use of LeoAI. Like for me, same thing. Like I write long form, and now this gives me an opportunity to create threads that I normally wouldn't create because I'm creating the content, original content, and now I can turn that into multiple threads to share it out to more people. So that will probably be the use case for me in terms of Leo AI. And then, you've been talking about threads and threadcast a little bit, but might be able to dive a little deeper because I saw, and I was curious about it too, but I saw Task was asking, kind of what's in the forefront or even in your thought process of, how to continue to improve and expand the threadcast as a platform.
Yeah, for threadcasts. So I mentioned, I mentioned one feature, which is, obviously AI powered, which is to kind of like read the threadcast and then like pick out certain ones that are based on, some type of format or, general concept, like a question, say which ones are questions and which ones are not. So that's going to be like a major change. I've had a few other ideas for threadcasts, and I actually think I mentioned them last week. But I think one of the major, I think like a good framework for it is to start looking at threadcasts as like a Twitch TV chat. And that's really the direction that I want to take things, where you've got reactions, you're able to tip the creator. I've been even thinking about certain things, like if a threadcast reaches a certain amount of comments, then the creator will get like some type of upvote from Leo.voter, so that they earn more rewards, something like that. So there's a lot of different ideas that are floating out there. Obviously, like being able to pin threads, having the author able to pin various threads to the top of their threadcast, I think is going to be one of the next things that we roll out, which obviously is a good thing. Like, for example, with this threadcast, I shared the links at the beginning, but obviously now if you want to go find those links, you have to scroll all the way to the end of the threadcast, or change the sorting method to oldest, if you want to go find those links. But if you if you have the ability to pin, then you could just say like, all right, well, I've created the links for this threadcast, and now I'm going to pin that as like the second thread in my threadcast. So now it would be like at the top for everybody to see. Another thing I want to do is allow you to like embed a live stream. So I've talked about that as well. That one's a little more complex. We're going to really have to dive in deep and try to figure that out. But imagine that you could embed like the YouTube. So like right now we're live on YouTube. Imagine if you could embed that YouTube video directly in the threadcast so that you can just kind of keep it popped out, in the bottom right, and then you could stay on the threadcast page. So yeah, a bunch of features like that. But I think threadcasts are really a killer feature for us, especially as we, Eric and I, and maybe this is a good transition into some marketing stuff, but Eric and I have been working a lot on, onboarding influencers and looking externally for new users. So, Eric's been going pretty deep on reaching out to people and trying to get them onboarded. And I think threadcasts are, I've said this for a long time. I think threadcasts are a really good way to onboard these people, especially the ones that do like a lot of them do like a weekly X space. So I definitely think we should be leveraging threadcasts to get these people over, especially because X currently doesn't have a good chat feature when you're live on X. When you're doing a space, the chat feature actually kind of sucks. So this is like a good opportunity for us to tap in and start getting that audience. And even when X comes out with some sort of chatting feature, which I'm sure they will, threadcasts will probably be a lot further ahead than where we are now. Like I said, being used more like a Twitch chat with, gifting, tipping, reactions. Obviously you've got upvoting naturally, and all the other features that we're, the AI stuff, all the other features that we're working on. So I think that threadcasts are a really good leverage point for us to get more people in.
Yeah. Vic Van is saying the increase on threadcasts with several topics covered on them is directly increasing engagement rate. Exactly. Engagement brings engagement. And if someone new or someone with some sort of any kind of follower base, they come and see there's people here, there's like the problem with crypto projects in general is that they go alive for 3 months and then they go dead for a year or 4 years if they survive, and then they go live again, etc., etc. But if they see that Inleo is alive and thriving, and there's a lot of people, and people actually pay for premium, and the flywheel works, etc., etc., then the ecosystem, by being successful and active, will bring in more people, or will make these people stay. So yeah, you're totally right. Big fan.
Yep. Yeah, success begets more success. I think that's a pretty clear trend in society and business in general. Ahmad Manga said never encountered any bugs today. Yeah, and I saw a couple others who said that they haven't been encountering bugs lately. So, like I said, we're pretty much at the kind of the edge of the bug fixing. Like it's mostly just edge cases that are left, which are a lot harder for us to fix because we basically have to recreate the entire experience of a particular user. So, you could really, especially when it comes to Android, you could really be on any type of device, of any year, with various versions of software, with various browser types. So at the end of the day, like catching these edge cases is going to be really difficult, which is also why it's really important when you guys do report bugs. That's why a lot of times I'll ask you for more details, because if it's reported with screenshots and even console logs and stuff like that, we can actually a lot of times fix bugs without even reproducing them ourselves, because we can just see all the information we need to from your perspective, and fix those bugs. So that's why when bug reports are really detailed, I'm able to get those fixed a lot faster than, for example, when people say, XYZ is not working, and that's like the extent of what they're saying. That makes it a lot harder, because now we have to go out and recreate exactly what happened to you in the exact setting, in order to fix that. So just a PSA to make really detailed feedback reports if possible. Task said pinning threads would be great. We could use it for segmentation. Opens up new possibilities for data within a threadcast. Yeah, I think pinning will be really cool. And the idea I have for pinning is also so that the author can only pin one thread, as like it only pins, because this is an issue I'm already kind of thinking about, which is that if an author wants to pin 5 threads, well, now the threadcast looks kind of strange, because you've got 6 threads at the top from the author, and then you have to scroll all the way below those to see the real-time threads. So my idea for this is to actually have a carousel. So the author may be able to pin, say, 5 threads max, but when they pin those 5 threads, they're all in the size of one thread, and then you swipe horizontally in order to see the rest. So it's more of a carousel feature rather than allowing like all these threads to get stacked on top of each other and kind of bury the actual thread cast. So I think that'll be a pretty cool implementation that you guys will like. We already answered that one. D-Kid said,
Dogfish,
oh, go ahead.
he is asking me to comment you that yes, and this is an issue. The thumbnails do not show on Twitter, on Discord, on any other platform. So I
Yeah,
do
I know
know
about
that
that
we are
one.
looking into it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's on the roadmap. We'll get to it.
Yeah, and I think he wanted me to mention it live because he asked on Discord, and he said, "You know what I mean." So
Yeah, I
maybe
know
I know
exactly
what
what
you
it means.
mean. But yeah,
D-Kid
okay.
said, I'll switch to LeoAI away from ChatGPT. I only use it for prompts and work usually. Yeah, I mean, I actually think there's going to be a lot of people. So, getting premium may save you $10 a month, because it's half the price of ChatGPT premium. So, I do think that there's going to be a lot of people out there who potentially could switch into using LeoAI. Gargi said, I've never tried the For You feature of Inleo. I will try it today. Yeah, we've been making some improvements to the For You feed. And it's slowly going to start integrating LeoAI as well. So you'll notice that the For You feed continues to get more and more, accurate. Because when you think about the goal of the For You feed, what its goal is to feed you the content in a rank order based on what it thinks you're going to engage with most heavily. So, if Mitch tends to, read and comment and upvote threads that mention the word Bitcoin, then those threads that mention the word Bitcoin should be at the top of his For You feed, and ranked above other threads. So
Let's go. Yes, Bitcoin.
So that is actually already there, that level of sorting. But the intricate nature of, sorting is going to be, it's going to get a lot better, especially as AI comes out. Um, so yeah, expect that to only improve from here. But yeah, I also recommend using it regularly, because the more you use it, the more it gets better for you as a specific user. So I've seen, like, Taskmaster said he's using it more. And I don't know if you guys have noticed, but if you use it more frequently, it actually gets better. Like, it literally is learning in real time. So, I recommend giving it a shot. It's like I said, I think I said this in the last AMA, my general usage of the UI is that I will look through the latest feed, and I'll go back like 1 or 2 hours through the latest feed to 1 or 2 hours ago, and then I switch over to For You, and then I'll scroll through the For You feed for a while, and I'll just kind of find a lot of other stuff, because in the For You feed you'll find anything that ranges from like the past 48 hours. So there's a lot of threads, and I've talked about this, but a lot of us are in different time zones. We're all over the world. So at the end of the day, there's a lot of threads out there that you miss. Someone may post it at when it's 4 a.m, your local time, but it may be a really engaging and cool thread for you to read, and you would have normally just missed it if you only look at the latest feed. So the For You feed is about digging up whatever it thinks that you're most likely to engage with, and that will, like I said, improve very dramatically going forward. Stakeen said, I need to work harder to acquire my premium. Yeah, engage more, write some blog posts. I would just say create more threads, write more blog posts, comment on more stuff, reply where you can. And, the more engaged you are on the site, the more you're going to earn. And that's a message I've been spreading to a lot of people that we've been onboarding recently, just to engage more. The more you engage, the more you earn. So that's kind of the whole model here. Stakeen also asked, what's the end of year goal for premium subscriptions? Yeah, I've been talking about this for a while, but my goal by the end of this year is 1,000 premiums. And I've kind of hammered in on this goal, like, in various months I've said, the goal is 1,000 premiums, countdown start. Like, I'm really trying to push the timeline for this. The faster we get to 1,000 premiums, the faster that flywheel starts to spin. Because, as you guys know, 100% of the premium revenue is buying the Leo token and buying CACAO, and then pooling it as Leo CACAO on the Maya protocol. And having liquidity over on Maya is extremely important for us. So, right now we've got it fluctuates anywhere from like 180 to 220 premiums. It's kind of bouncing in that range. So, just call it about $2,000 a month is being earned. And that's being pooled as Leo and CACAO. So it's buying Leo and then pooling it with CACAO on Maya. So, imagine that we get to 1,000 premiums by December, which again is the goal. And, that's $10,000 a month. That's buying Leo and pooling it with CACAO, and then creating that permanent liquidity that never leaves the liquidity pool, which then leads to, more Hive aggregated swaps on Leo DEX. It leads to a lot more attention for the Leo token and the Leo economy and the Inleo platform on Maya. And I think we all can agree that we expect Maya is going to grow pretty significantly in the future. So, all of this stuff kind of adds up to the end goal of just creating this ecosystem that grows and feeds on itself. And premium is at the center of that, in my opinion. I really believe that getting to 1,000 premiums is going to be a major turning point for the Leo token. Obviously just a belief. We'll have to see what happens in reality.
Yeah. Concerning Leo DEX, is like we reach a milestone of swaps already lately. Yeah, we reached $100,000 in swap volume. And what has it been? 2 months?
Yeah, it's been like 2 months. And over those 2 months, I mean, you can think about the rollout of Leo DEX. Like, we only had key store wallet option to start. So a lot of like key features were missing. So yeah, it's been growing actually exponentially. Like, it took us, I think it took us a month to get to like $20,000. So now it's taken us a month to get another 80,000. So every month I kind of want to see that exponential growth continue. And we still haven't done any real campaigns in terms of like a volume airdrop or anything. But I do still want to do that. But right now it's been really just kind of organic growth. We haven't really been doing anything non-organic to grow it. It's just been a couple tweets here and there. Obviously joining the Maya protocol spaces every Monday and just kind of making our mark in the ecosystem. Speaking of which, I will be 90% confirmed, but I'll be in Vegas in September at Rare Evo with the Maya team. Not necessarily like in their booth, but like I'll be circulating. And Thorchain's going to be there. Chainflip is going to be there. A bunch of other projects are going to be there as well. So yeah, I will be there. And again, we're making our mark in this cross-chain ecosystem, which I think is a really good, it's a good, what analogy am I looking for? Something to hitch yourself onto, whatever. It's a good horse to bet on, I guess.
Riding their coattails.
Yeah, riding their coattails in a certain sense. Like, we're building. I'm a big believer in like collaboration and building things that work well with other things, right? So like, we've now attached ourselves in a certain way to Maya's success as a protocol. So, as Maya succeeds, we've got the Leo CACAO liquidity pool, we've got LeoDex, we've got the Hive aggregation technology. As Maya gains more trading volume and grows as a platform in terms of users, all those users become potential LeoDex users, which means that they're potential Hive swappers. They're also potential Leo swappers, and they're also potential Inleo users. So, we're kind of hitching a ride in a certain sense there to a project that's doing really kind of incredible things from a technology standpoint. So yeah, I'm going to continue kind of pushing on that.
Yeah, those For You feed already use the LeoAI on the back end. I have no idea,
now,
but
yeah, not right now. It just uses kind of like I guess you could kind of you could call it like a I don't know what you would call it, like a dumb LLM. It's kind of like it's like a fake, like it's basically reading your basic interactions on chain and spitting out the For You feed. So it's using like a very simple algorithm to get to where it's at. It's saying, what threads have you upvoted most frequently? What are some of the keywords in those threads, etc. Whereas LeoAI is kind of like I would say that the current For You feed is like the horse and buggy, and LeoAI is like a brand new Tesla. Like it's literally like the technology leap from where the For You is at now to where it would be with LeoAI is massive. So yeah, you'll see. Yeah, right now, yeah, like Tass said, right now it's a basic machine learning engine. It's just such a simple little algorithm that we wrote. So that's why it's like good, but not great. It's definitely better than not having one. But yeah, the goal has always been to release LeoAI and then tap into that for the For You feed.
We got what is it, 10 to the hour. Do we want to talk about general crypto market at all before we wrap up, given that we had some volatility since the last AMA?
Yeah, a lot happened since the last AMA, right? It's felt like a really long week, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, of course I was traveling because per the usual, there's always all the action when I'm not in front of my machine.
Right. So
But
I'm
yeah,
just pulling up the chart. Where were we at on the last AMA, which would have been what, June 2nd or July 2nd? 60,
we were
62K.
yeah, we were not broken down, so to speak, out of the range.
Yeah, this is looking, I mean, it's pretty ugly.
It literally happened like the next day. Basically 4th of July weekend, we had fireworks. So
Fireworks.
America.
Yeah, it was pretty painful actually the past week. From a
Oh yeah.
From a crypto market standpoint. Kind of a bloodbath. But what do you guys see happening from here? Do you think we're gonna hold this little range we've got? Like we're kind of holding 55K, I'd say, pretty well, because we did dip to 53, but we kind of came right back.
Yep.
I really don't know, but these 25, 30, even 40% drops in price of Bitcoin are pretty normal if you like if you compare it to other bull markets. The problem is that right now, like the previous bull markets, people were like, no, yeah, we're definitely in a bull market. And right now, if you try to get a grasp of how people are feeling, some are saying we already topped for the cycle. Some are saying that there's no more bull market anymore. In previous cycles, they knew, or people were certain that we were in a bull market. Right now, they're not so sure. So that's the only thing that has me a little bit bothered. I still think that this is a bull market, like a full bull market, but I don't know. I have never seen so many people with different opinions.
I mean, it makes sense. Definitely makes sense. I mean, we had essentially a bull run from January to March. It was like a 3-month bull run, right? And then we've been consolidating. We've been consolidating technically longer than the quote unquote bull move was, this year. We've had 3 months of bull run and then now 4 months basically of sideways to now lower action. I'm with you. I think it's a coin flip. I'm trying to decide. I'm like, either A, this is like the shakeout in terms of, that push down, shake out the weak hands, liquidate, all the leverage longs before we rip higher, or that's all she wrote for the year, and we will go test some lower levels, which the next real consolidation slash support areas is that like 50 to like 52 area. So I don't know about you guys. I definitely dipped my toe in and bought a little bit. Nothing crazy, but I was able to snag some at 54.7, which was nice. And then I bought some more up at like 57.5 when it first started dumping. So I'm just sitting on my hands and I will buy more if we get down to that 50-52 area. Otherwise, hoping we rally back into the range. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's a complete coin flip. It's like we broke through that swing low, right, at like 56 and change. But now, we've kind of got back up to it. Also, the 200-day moving average, which really hasn't come into play a lot with Bitcoin. It blasted right through that, and then it's kind of hit its head on it twice now over the last few days. So it's never just from a technical charting aspect. Failing at the 200 days never a net positive. But again, it's not like Bitcoin hasn't dipped below that and then rallied, um, whatever weeks later. So yeah, I wish I had any kind of conviction, but right now I'm just sitting in my boat waiting to see which way the current's going to take me.
Yeah, there's just not much else you can really do.
Yeah.
Definitely picked up a
Well, and the
little bit.
alts have been bad.
Yeah,
Sorry.
alts have been a total bloodbath.
That's the last point I wanted to make. The alts have done a full round trip, like a lot of them. And I
Mhm.
don't consider Ethereum an alt anymore when I talk about alts, but like all the mid to small size alts like that had mooned, they've all done like every one of them that I bought that I was like up nice in. I rode all the way back down to, the beginning of that, move in January. They've almost all of them done a full round trip. So
Yeah.
at least Bitcoin hasn't done that. It's only give technically like probably what half the move back. So that's a net positive, I guess, in terms of relative strength and I guess Bitcoin dominance. So, but anyway, you were saying?
No, yeah, it's yeah, the alts have just been a bloodbath. I mean, Bitcoin has been its own little bloodbath as well. Like we dropped from 72 to 51 essentially, which is what's
Yeah, it's like what, 25, 20, 25, 6, 7 around percent drop.
yeah, 29%. Yeah.
Yeah, there
So
you go.
yeah. So I mean, I think this has been one of the 30% drops in this bull market, which is actually pretty typical, right? Like we're still kind of in the post-halvening phase. It's only been a few months. You've got the Bitcoin ETF. Like crypto moves so fast, but it like feels like it's forever, right? Like think about how the ETFs and the halvening were just a couple months ago, right? Like it's not It's not like it's been like a year or 2 years and now we're just sitting and waiting. Like it's only been a couple months. I think we also are, I obviously have a little bit more of a macro view. I don't really view things much in the short term, but the general macro view is that we're kind of headed into an era of like potential rate cuts on the horizon. The stock market's still doing pretty well. You've got the Bitcoin halving in effect. The Bitcoin ETFs are soaking up a lot of value. Today, the Ethereum ETF applicants just filed a new form, filed some updates, which happened last time with the Bitcoin ETF. If you remember, it happened, and then like a few months later, it was scheduled, and then the ETFs actually launched. So I would say we're kind of in this broad narrative of like Ethereum ETFs on the horizon, inflation or rate cuts on the horizon, Bitcoin halving still kind of taking its like slow ticking effect that it normally does every cycle. So I guess we'll see what happens, but I'm pretty confident in when people say that Bitcoin's going to be over 100K by the end of this year. I'm pretty confident in that prediction in general, but you obviously never know.
Yeah, I mean, I would still agree with that. And like you said, there's a lot of pro Bitcoin things happening between, potential interest rate easing, obviously in terms of the US, change in the presidential office that's more pro crypto. Um, so, and on top of this, think about the US stock market has been making all-time highs for like the last 2 weeks. Yet Bitcoin's getting like, smoked. So I was like, all right, what's the deal? And obviously a lot of maybe it's FUD, maybe it's not. A lot of talk has just been about, you know, the amount of stocks, Bitcoin finally, getting moved, which I feel like I hear this story every year. When's it finally going to be distributed and sold? And then Germany, obviously, with a bunch of Bitcoin that they confiscated, has been selling off big pieces of Bitcoin actively recently. So obviously those are big sell side pressures, but I don't think that's just sheer and only cause. So who knows? Right now, I guess it's risk off with crypto. So we shall see if risk on comes back. But yeah, the ingredients are there for Bitcoin to make a bull run. And that's why I've just been focused on nibbling on more Bitcoin and just building the long-term bag of Bitcoin. I mean, I keep quote unquote gambling with these alts and I seem to just end up spinning my wheels. So um, definitely never going to become a Bitcoin maxi, but at the same time, I'm still focused on building that because that's going to be, that's going to be the foundation, right? That's going to be the collateral I borrow against in the future. Because the reality is, what coin's going to be, one of the first or second to be, a asset with like TradFi potentially. It's going to be obviously Bitcoin or Ethereum. So if I can have that as an asset to borrow against, I never even need to sell it, and I can just use it to access capital and pay the bills. So I guess dollar cost averaging is not a bad idea on Bitcoin.
DCA is king. Always said that.
Yep.
Always
And
king.
then just sit and wait for Leo to moon.
Yeah.
Keep stacking my Leo,
He,
waiting for it to moon.
yeah. I mean, I think we're doing the right things. It's just
Oh yeah.
it's a matter of scaling at this point. I've said that I find it very exciting, the layers of value capture that we've built. I actually think we have all of the, kind of infrastructure in place to, really push this economy upwards. And I've talked about those things like premium, growing premiums to 1,000, growing the LeoDex volume, growing the Hive aggregation volume, and then, the other, things that are coming in the future, like Leo ads, which will make a return debut in a much better form than it used to be. So all these rails are, already in place to capture value into the Leo token. The key now is just scaling what we've got. Like, we've got premium and it's generating $2,000 a month. That's great. Now, can we get it to generate, $10,000 a month? Can we get it to 1,000 premiums, which would have a massive impact on the ecosystem? And then LeoDex is generating, I think, like $200 a month or $150 a month right now, which is obviously very small. But, can we 10x the volume there? Can we 100x the volume of what LeoDex is doing, which would actually just take us to where the other UIs are at? There's Maya UIs that are generating, anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 a month in revenue. So, you know, can we make LeoDex the best swapping UI for Maya, and then also integrate Thorchain and Chainflip and start absorbing a lot more value, you know, into the Leo token economy. So yeah, it's just, it's like I said, it's just a matter of scaling up what we've already built, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Just keep growing the flywheel.
Yep.
And, you know, you're building that snowball, right? You know, I've seen it in other businesses. I've obviously seen it in real estate. It's just like those first few years are lean, and then you start getting that economies of scale. Then you start getting that like leverage just because of the sheer momentum, the sheer size, and the sheer revenue that's coming in, and then that just extrapolates and exponentially grows. So yeah, as premium grows and that money goes into liquidity pools, and then that grows, and then next thing you know, it just hits that, you know, that break point, that boiling over point. So yeah, just a matter of time.
Yep. 100%.
Cool, cool.
100%. Sweet. Well, that's all I got. You guys have any anything else you want to add in there?
Nah, just, you know, keep threading, keep blogging, keep interacting,
Yep.
and
Keep up the
spread
growth.
the word.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you see anyone new, make sure to say hello and show them around. Yeah, we need as many hands on deck to act as ambassadors and as owners of the protocol. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's pretty
and
much it
this
for me.
Thursday, I think we're gonna do it this Thursday. We'll have the growth call, Eric and I, and we'll talk about, because we didn't really get to that stuff today, but we'll talk about some of the things that we're doing. We've got a launch coming up to basically target other communities and onboard them. So yeah, like Eric said, when you see new faces, welcome them in and help them, show them around. I'm sure they're going to ask questions, and, you know, answer their questions and make them feel welcome. We're going to have a lot more new users and new faces joining the platform in the next, you know, probably starting this week, and really just kind of exponentially growing it from there. So our key focus is still growing the monthly active user count, because ultimately every MAU that we have and every MAU that we add is a new potential premium user, a new potential LeoDex user, a new potential Hive aggregation swap user, and obviously down the road also, you know, more views for Leo ads as well. So you know, growing the MAUs is still kind of the key core KPI for us to really focus on. So we will keep hammering on that. But yeah, good AMA today. I think we got to a lot of the questions, so I didn't really see any towards the end there.
Yep. I think there might have been a few, but there's always next week.
There's always next week. All right, guys. Thanks, Mitch. Thanks, Eric. Thanks everybody for joining. We will catch you guys for, I don't know if we'll have a chain chatter tomorrow. I'll talk to Eric, and then growth call Thursday. So it'll be a good week. And then Taskmaster does the Fridays Lions Den. So we will see you guys this week. Have a good one.
Take
Yes.
care.
See you guys.
Yeah.